you, baby. Cause I need you, baby. If you text me, say you need me. Even if it ain't real, you're just missing me. I'll be on the way, we'll spin and get it free. I'll be here, spending time on the right sheets. We ain't tired, but act like we need to sleep. Then I think about your body, feel your fantasies. We don't sleep, we can't sleep. Split highs with you, in the bed, in the pool. Moods on too. Tell me what you need, cause I need you, baby. I'll set the cards to red. Temperature 68. A bed made for two. Say what you need, cause I need you, baby. I can make it like a dream for you. Like a fantasy that just came true. Right now, feeling when you say, ooh. La 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 la. I'm a label you from the left side. Keep you close, calling for the whole night. No, you know because it feels like, ooh. La 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 la.
Got this mood, I'm so mesmerized, you take me somewhere new. Can you pause the night and postpone the sunrise? Cause every time I feel your kiss, with those of your lips increase. Split highs with you, in the bed, in the pool. Ooh, it's all in tune. Tell me what you need, cause I need you, baby. Set the color to red, temperature 68. Bed made for two. Say what you need, cause I need you, baby.
I can make it like a dream for you. Like a fantasy that just came true. Right now, feeling when you say, ooh. La 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 la. I'm a label you from the left side. Keep you close, color for the whole night. No, you know because it feels like, ooh. La 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 la. I can make it like a dream for you. Like a fantasy that just came true. Right now, feeling when you say, ooh. La 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 la. I'm a label you from the left side. Keep you close, color for the whole night. No, you know because it feels like, ooh. La 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 la. When I think about it, ooh. Baby, you're mine. When I think about it, ooh. I can make it like a dream for you. Like a fantasy that just came true. Right now, feeling when you say, ooh. La 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 la. I'm a label you from the left side. Keep you close, color for the whole night. No, you know because it feels like, ooh. La 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 la. When I think about it, ooh. When I think about it, ooh. Right now, feeling when you say, ooh. La 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 la. When I think about it, ooh. When I think about you.
My baby, my baby. Come close, I wanna let you in on something. A feeling I've been loving. Gotta show you I've been thinking about you day and night. You're always on my mind. Since day one, swear I baby knew you were the one. Thinking maybe I could give a life guide to you. Wanna prove it. Got so much love, please don't lose it. So let me give you it all. We can take it slow.
slow. Send all of your friends to the restroom and let's go. Hey, nah, don't touch on my bottles if you ain't coming home. I seen you put the lipstick in the Prada, you moving on the floor. Nice, young, and the vibe is electric. The bankroll at my door. I feel my senses overload. Wildin' cause I broke the mold. Really in this business of investing, but I win the most. Cruising when it's 2 a.m. Bodies hanging at the bank.
On Gaming Series week number 2 for season 3. My name is Stickula. I'm here alongside Mystrierik. It's kind of an interesting little duo ship we got going on here, but boy, am I excited for these two best of ones tonight.
Definitely an interesting duo indeed. We've got some history with each other, man. I'm excited to bring that history here to the Xenon Gaming. Start us off here. We do have 2 matches for you tonight. The first one here is Zelos versus the St. Louis Leviathans. Should be a pretty good match. We saw Leviathans have a close loss, 5-7 on Chalet in their opening match after going undefeated through their qualifying run. And Zelos as well, they won a close 8-7 game against Zero Risk in their first game as well. So both of these teams teetering on victory or defeat in their first set of rounds here. So it should be a pretty good match.
Yeah, right. And kind of an interesting quantity that we have in this first game. Both of these teams are rosters full of players I have never seen before. Usually, you got that one guy, you might have seen him on Twitter, maybe you caught him in ranked or something like that. No, not the case, at least for me. I have not seen any of these players. I've heard of the St. Louis Leviathans just from like an org standpoint. They've really been around for a long time. But why don't we go into the topic of the map veto and get to know where the ending of this is going to be. And it's an old classic of Oregon, middle of the kind of the season where we're at right now. Oregon, everybody scrims it. You're ready for it, really.
Yeah, I also like that you mentioned this is the middle of the season. You're looking towards playoffs still. This is only a 5-week group stage, so if you can limit how many maps you're showing, if you can limit letting people see what you can do on theme park skyscraper maps like that, it does make sense. Sure, it gets a little boring to watch. They call it Boregan for a reason, but it's still a staple for its own reasons, right? Just the dynamicism between the attack and defense is very intricate, and despite it being such a commonplace map, you can differentiate yourself as a good Oregon team or a bad Oregon team, typically based on how well you can play the upstairs and the tertiary site. The basement, you're expected to win that, I think it's like 65% of the time. So yeah, everyone's got a semi-decent basement, but can you play upstairs, which has started to fall in the win rate? And can you play that mid-floor site, that meeting or dining site? That's definitely going to be some to watch here as well. I don't know if we know who's starting attack or defense, but it'll be cool to see what we go from there as well.
Yeah, there's always kind of that question about momentum. If you're starting on the attack, you kind of have to be in that mindset. You got to be ready for the game. You can't be slouching. You can't be, still pulling the crusties out of your eyes like you just woke up. You need to be in that mindset of being ready to go. But the match is prepared, and it will be Leviathans who begin on the defense here for Oregon. So painting the picture of how this is going to play out. And like I said, not really knowledgeable on these two rosters, but from what I hear, that undefeated run for the St. Louis Leviathans in quals, that has me feeling like they're probably the favorite in this one.
Yeah, it was definitely an impressive run. I did manage to cast a little bit and watch some of it. They were dismantling teams in the qualifier, and they made themselves look like a team that was going to be a threat towards the top of the leaderboard. And to see them stumble right out of the gate, granted, it was a close game. It was 5-7, but to see them stumble like that definitely hurt a little bit. I've been told the game's about ready to go. We're actually on time once here at the Xenon Gaming Series, so with hopefully we could get there pretty soon here. I'm curious to see what these operator bans are going to be. I know in recent times, Oregon's operator bans kind of been shaken up just a little bit. You still have some staples, your Thatcher, your Flores, but you get a little bit more room to wiggle now, especially with how powerful Finca has been in the current meta.
Right, and there's also sort of the parallel that you get on the defense when you've got a zombie. She's unlocked now. Things have really gotten crazy with those kunais, and it can be quite problematic Oregon, especially for that basement, I've seen the angles all over Twitter where you've got a kunai, maybe it's watching over towards the back stairs at pillar. It just makes it so frustrating from the attacker point of view because you need to bring maybe more soft destruction now. And with the Flores ban up front, that really will limit your ability to bring in that soft destruction element. Now you're probably going to look to operators like Zofia, Sledge, maybe even an Ashe in here to try to nullify the fact of the Azami. If she were to get banned, honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised, but it's sort of a pick and choose kind of thing here, right? You have to leave her up. You need to be prepared for that. But if you're going to go the other way, it does give you a little bit more comfort room, maybe.
Yeah, I also love the pressure it places on Zelos there as well. You almost feel like you can't ban anyone that brings soft breaching, even if it's grenades, right? Like, you might want to come into this and ban out Finka, but if there's no Flores as well, you've got to break Azamis if you're not planning on banning it, which they didn't do, instead opting for Mira, another pretty commonly used operator on this map. Definitely provides a lot of power just in general across the game, but especially here on Oregon. And so they are choosing to float that Azami, so the final decision is going to be Leviathans. They're going to leave it in. So this is going to be interesting, man. I've never actually really seen a full match on Oregon with Azami in play, so it's going to be interesting from my end on that perspective. But I like that you mentioned Flores, a lot of soft breaching potential, a lot of safe soft breaching potential. All of those other operators have to establish a line of sight to what they're trying to blow up if they want to actually destroy it, whereas Flores, he can just get on his phone and do it from a distance there. Interesting to see them not bring it out for this first round, but it is basement. They're going with El Clasico of a lineup here. Should be good to get us eased into this game.
Maybe some nerves around the topic of the Ying here for that Warden pick. You want to have the ability to toggle on those Glance Smart glasses and just get out of there, not have to worry about that, because honestly, where the meta is at right now for the basement, sometimes that Ying is just an operator that you have to have. You cannot afford to let that one slip because there's the mind games. There's all this utility that you need to make it through. So you bring in those Candelas, you're trying to get through, kind of soften up your opponent, so to speak. And when you got those Candelas, it makes it so much easier. Now you get into a conversation about, we got the Warden on the other side. Maybe we're not going to bring in an operator like it's actually the Jackal here in this composition that kind of strikes me as the most outward facing, because I feel like Oregon is a map where every team should have their roam clear dialed into a level where you don't really need the Jackal.
It's like the clubhouse effect. Everyone's played it a million times. If you don't know how to roam clean it, have you been playing this map a million times? Maybe they're just thinking like on a timing thing. I've seen some teams opt to bring in the Jackal just to speed it up. Because you want to, on this map in particular, you want to be hitting the mid floor of the map at around a minute and a half left to play around with, so you can attack the entire basement. And so bringing the Jackal to speed it up, maybe if they're having some struggles, or they know that Leviathans is going to be roaming as hard as we have been able to see them there. One player lurking all the way out into small tower here, some other players cheating up the staircases as well. Definitely just applying pressure up the map without overextending. I really like this style of defense from them. They're not getting overzealous on their defense here. And P Loudly, you saw him cheating up main stairs early on. He heard the players coming in the garage. You saw the main door get shut open. He's not willing to let himself die early on in a position that frankly doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So it's some very smart early roaming here from Leviathans.
And to me, I feel like this is the way all roam should play out on Oregon. You have to extend the clock. You have to make sure the attackers go through that checklist, especially if you're bringing the Jackal. You don't want to be getting, spotted on the objective by that Inox. Can make it very frustrating. And I think Zelos are feeling the burn a little bit from the effects of this roam. You see no real confrontation has occurred yet. You still got Leviathans who kind of feel like they can just move around to any position of the map, and they're not feeling like they're too pressured to rotate back yet. This could be a situation where you've got 45 seconds, and that's when Zelos are setting up the execute. They really have to be a little bit quicker about this. The only caveat perhaps to that would be maybe they get an opening kill. Maybe one of the Leviathan's defenders doesn't get back to the site in time.
Yeah, I said they wanted mid-floor control at around a minute and a half since they're bringing Jackal, but all they've gotten for their efforts so far is this back tower stairs, and there are a lot of people stacked up here, and it looks like the Leviathans have read into it quite well. You've got the Warden playing up close, as well as the Melusi playing around the pillar area. These players are going to struggle to get down, and it's a very nice shot from Rodig, pick us off the opening kill. Waffle finds two as he works his way into the meeting room, and that other player's outside the building, so there's no trade to be found there. It's now just Spadiga left. in a 1v4, and he's got a minute to work with, so he could make this happen if he's able to isolate these 1v1s. But all these players on Leviathans just playing passively. They swing him to find the information on where he is. He's going to have to take this fight with Waffle here if he wants to even have a chance at making this round work for himself. He's got to get this box and make this work. But Waffle, he's just playing passively, swings the door. Waffle grabs himself a 3-piece to start the game off. It's a very well played round there from Leviathan, slowing down the attack, finding those pockets of misinformation to sneak upstairs and make it work. Well played to them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Finding those opportunities, making it work for your team, and Zelos look really uncomfortable with the way that they positioned themselves. They had somebody that was coming in originally on kind of like a dorms clear, and then they just sort of huddled up around kind of a back take that felt really forced, in my opinion. You have to be in the understanding of, okay, here's our take, here's how we're going to go for it. These are the various steps that we're going to try to accomplish with it. And it just felt like Leviathans were kind of hanging out, and then eventually Zelos realized there's this thing we have to do, right? We have to get to the objective, and Leviathans would not let them do it, and Waffle just exploiting the lack of control by Zelos. Honestly, after the seeing of the Jackal there, I think we just get rid of him. Let's have the Nomad. Let's lock down that flank. We don't want to take all the map control just for it to get seized back away from us.
I think the worst part about it too was you were talking about they have to have the plan that they want to do, and to me it was pretty obvious, right? You have the Jackal, you get top floor control, you use that secondary shotgun plus any verticality you have to clear the mid floor, and they just weren't doing it. They were content with just trying to make it work through back tower, and that's just not enough space to make and execute work on a map like Oregon here. So hopefully they're able to change it up coming into this next round here. It is upstairs defense, so it's a much more winnable site for the attackers, and especially when you're bringing 6 grenades like that, there's a lot of things you can do just from the underside of this site on its own if that's what they want to lean into there. Just being able to use these depth charges, as I believe they've been dubbed, underneath the site and blow these players out of positions is a very powerful tool, and they brought 6 of them, so it's definitely a powerful option for them to go towards here.
I think it's definitely important to kind of maintain expectations here. First attacking round Zelos, it's not anything crazy. Maybe you're just kind of getting accustomed to the way that your opponent is going to hold. The problem becomes if we go down to basement again, and it looks like it's the same thing from Zelos, because when you don't have those adaptations, that's where you lose Oregon, especially on the offense. Here, it's Wilson who was the opening death in the previous round to strike out Waffle, that triple kill player. Big effect down in the basement. He's now done away with.
Yeah, it's good to see Zelos picking up the pace here as well. It feels like they're contesting these players on Leviathans earlier on. They're not letting them just kind of lurk around in the darkness. They're actively contesting these under players with drones. You saw Roe try and getting aggressive on that bottom white stairs window, getting pushed back by drones, and now Spadiga's holding that angle that he was trying to rotate through earlier. So these roamers not being able to move around quite as freely, and they're being called out as they're trying to get back upstairs. It's just a much better look from Zelos here for just how they're approaching this site in particular, being able to acquire the intel. It's almost just like they're more comfortable attacking it fundamentally, right? It looks like they have an idea that they want to go for, and we'll see if it can pan out for them, as they've used up half the round now, and they've got about half the Leviathans down for it, as well as Loudy falls as well.
Great pressure here from the way that Zelos have this set up. That alibi is probably going to be the make it or break it here for the defense. If Roe can creep up, alleviates that top white pressure, then I start to see the opportunity for them to creep back. The Finka will step forward somehow, does not kill the player close, a big window, and it's another one now out of that AUG, helping to keep Leviathans in the question here. But what are Zelos going to do in their attempt to try and recover this? They lost that Finka, who was sort of the keystone. Try to get that control in from top white, and now the effects of the Vulcan canister really come into play, because Zelos cannot immediately get that trade going, and immediately we'll see Wilson just try to come on forward. He does earn one, but he still has to worry about that alibi's positioning, I believe, at the top of the white stairs. Exactly, there it is. Behind the shield, the Cade pops. He's not able to get the gun up into the fight just yet, and so it's left to the alibi, already doing a pretty big amount of work this round, and a decent cut back here, but Spooman's got the question with the plant.
A much better entrance here from Zelos, just being able to clear out those hard to clear positions, but Roe finds one for himself, dropping us into a 1v1, and with Spoonman only on 1 HP, any bullet from the alibi will down him, and it does. Roe manages to pick up the 1v2 clutch there and recover a very, very bad situation for the Leviathans there. 3v5 to a 1v2 victory. It's not ideal if you're the Leviathans, but it's a win nonetheless, and it's a very good show for them to be able to win rounds cleanly and to fight through the nitty-gritty and pick up rounds that on paper you really shouldn't.
That's exactly it. And I think Zelos, you could sort of say they weren't able to fight through the nitty gritty. They lost their man trying to make that white play, and the rest of the squad felt like something wasn't connecting there. They didn't have the pressure from the main wall. I honestly don't know for a fact that the main breach in the games even got opened. I couldn't get quite a line of sight on that, but it certainly felt like they were lacking that avenue to kind of get in and go. I love the call to make the plant, but when you're in that 2-on-1, you can't be separated. You can't have one player that's out in the middle of games and another one who's kind of in the back of kids. You need to work together. Guarantee that if one player dies, it's not going to allow that defender to reset up to get that final 1v1.
Yeah, I love that you said that too. It feels like they're just disjointed a little bit. The Finka walking up white stairs, sure, it's not a bad idea if the rest of your team is pushing as well, but it just looked like a segmented push like you were talking about there. You have one person planting, one person just kind of on their own in an island. It's not the type of teamwork that you need to succeed in a game like Rainbow Six Siege. We are going to the tertiary site now. They are electing to go meeting over dining. It's typically been a little bit more popular, maybe not in the win rate in the NAL recently, but it's typically the more popular site to go towards here, and we finally get to see that operator that we were hyping up a little bit before the game. Azami makes her debut for us on Oregon, and this is something that I wasn't particularly expecting. It's in combination with Castle. So the amount of soft destruction, especially ranged soft destruction that Zelos is going to need on this round, just like quintuple overnight. They've got 5 Azami barricades to break and 4 castles. Hopefully the sledgehammer is going to be able to do that work.
And then I would take a look at the sledge and I would say it's not the same as having something like Zofia or Ash or another set of grenades. The sledgehammer, it's not long enough. You know, you're not able to reach out all the way and get some of those more distant pieces of utility, because most of the Azami gates are going to have a defender that's right behind him. I mean, you're not getting away with sledging that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. Yeah, it's not ranged soft destruction from the sledge, and it's going to make this upstairs clear a little harder. You criticized the Jackal. I kind of agree with you. It's making its appearance again. He's rearing his head up here for this roam clear as well. It just kind of feels like the crutch operator for Zelos, where they just feel they need it for these roam clears. So we're going to need to see the Jackal themselves get extra value that they weren't getting before. And, well, when the Jackal's HP is dropped to about 25% on the entry, at least he's able to get one back for that HP. And his space has been created, but the misdroning coming through, they didn't actually drone all the way up through and understand what the setup looks like. What a shot from Moreau, just denying this side of the push as well. That's both of the big window players dead without being able to trade Row out.
Proxima does go down, though, so a little bit of lost utility, something you're not going to be able to fight back for there, but an awesome job by that Alibi, who has made this quite an uncomfortable scenario. Here she comes, stepping forward. It's Row for a third, stacking bodies here on Oregon, and making life a living hell for Zelos. The ace does not want to push that. He knows what gun's on the opposite side, and he wants to wait for the teammate, hopefully to come in on the assist, but look at the Alibi. She says, I got my kills. It's time to tuck and run.
It's so smart from the side of Leviathans. They understand when they need to get these picks. They lose one early on. Rogue trades it back and finds a second coming through the breach. And then Rogue gets another pick up Attic and says, you know what, now my team has the advantage. I don't need to continue forward. And now Zelos is left in this very awkward spot where Spoonman has to try and retake Attic by himself. He is going to be able to finally fell Rogue. He's only now down to a 7-1 scoreline. But they've got him just walk now through this stage area. They're not able to play on the hatch efficiently, because once this player starts planting, any player walking up green hall is just going to be able to win the round for the defenders here. There's only 20 seconds left on the clock as well, so the plant is going to have to come down soon, and Spoonman is the person with the box on the hatch, so he's got to bring it back downstairs. So now there isn't even a second angle of pressure, and Chu is able to clean both up through the stage wall and complete a full sweep of the building for the side of Leviathans.
Man, I mean, Zelos just looking a little bit frazzled there. That top floor pressure. Sure, you got the Jackal in, and we've seen Wilson. He's been kind of getting those entry kills so far, but I definitely start to have this notion that creeps in for me that Zelos, maybe they will get an advantage, but they're not so great at converting it. I mean, especially if you look there on the dorm site. My God, they had everything that they needed, and they couldn't get it done. Then down to meeting 2v2, arguably not the worst situation in the world with hatch open and the wall as well there, but it's the Azami gates that just make it impossible. You cannot make it past. There's so many angles. The defenders set the stage. They say, okay, you're going to have to plant. You're going to have to come in. The attackers, what do you do in that scenario when you don't have the right tools? And I think it's just about getting rid of the Jackal. The Jackal's not helping. The Jackal didn't get, Wilson that entry kill on the last round. That was just his gun skill. That was just his playmaking.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. The Jackal's value is not really showing up. If you want smoke, if you're bringing Jackal for the smoke grenades, bring Twitch, right? To be able to remove this utility from the defenders, or even better, if you're seeing that you're struggling with droning, right? It's obvious that Zelos just doesn't know what these defenses look like. Bring Yana as an extra free clone. You get frag grenades plus the Gon 6. Just extra information seems to be what Zelos is missing here to be able to get in the building efficiently. They have the right idea, right? You can tell from top down, like they have a plan that they're trying to do. They just aren't able to cleanly get all the steps through it to execute onto the site here. And we are going back now to the basement, and this was a site that Leviathans won incredibly cleanly the first time we were down here. So this is what you were talking about in that round 2, where Zealous have to clean up their act. They have to show us that they have what it takes to actually make this site look contestable. They might not necessarily win it. This is like the most defender site on the map, but if they can show us that they have a foot in this game, maybe they can look towards a 4-2 half.
I think that's it, right? It's not about, okay, you need to win this round here and now. We need to see if there's going to be more potential left in this half, or if perhaps Oregon was not the right choice here. Decent bit of utility coming on forward, but again, you've got the Warden. P. Loudy is ready for any scenario that might come on forward, and even with the Toxic Babe as well, he can just see right through it. Zelos, you don't need to huddle up around that door. You don't get anything done, really, from huddling up around that door unless you're, I don't know, playing ranked or something like that. And we do see Zelos make the adjustment. They're going to come off of that take, and now it's about pressuring through backstairs, but we saw this already before. I think the one maybe thing that helps you out a little bit here, it's not like Leviathans have everybody out on the roam, but there is still the pressure inside meeting room. Right now, honestly, the thing that would win you this round is to just put somebody in main lobby on the cut. Make sure these roamers, they get pushed out. There's a pinch that happens, because if you don't, you're just wasting time.
Yeah, wasting time is happening now too, as you were mentioning. There's 4 players just clumped up in this back tower stairs. Badger does get the opening pick for Zealous, so that's at least a good look for them, but they didn't drone out row. They never knew it was here. At least he's kept to a 1-for-1 trade there, so a little bit better look this time around from Zealous, but with there's only a minute 10 left on the clock, they've managed to clear up Elbow to make this look a little better. Wilson's good for 2 on that angle before Chu tags him down onto the ground there. It's now Chu left in a 1v3.5 with the sledge on the ground, but Fink is able to bring him up, so it's a 1v4 for Chu. All of these players trying to barrel down, and they've got a minute on the clock here as well, so he's not going to be able to win by just denying the plan. He's going to have to find all 4 of these gunfights, preferably for him, one at a time if he wants to make this work. Trying to dip in and around, find and isolate these 1v1 situations. He's got to connect on this player who's back out in Pillar. He's not going to be able to cross out on the site. The box does go down, so that's good on Spoonman to actually get the first plant on the ground for Zealous, and it's a much better look for them, but Chu's just kind of buying his time here, man. I think he realizes this situation is fruitless, kind of playing for the KT now and giving your team just a little bit of a chance to figure out what went wrong in this round and clean it up going forward.
We'll see if he does manage to even snag a few chance kills here. Really passive play from that player back at Pillar, as Zelos are just waiting out the situation. Don't want to let it get too crazy. It'll only be 1 for the Kate as Zelos close down and really show us a new attacking philosophy. A little bit more assertive, way better in terms of the authority through the mid-round. We saw this time, okay, maybe they misdroned Roe again and allowed him to still trade somebody out, but it wasn't like Roe got one, then he ran over here and got another, and then he came back up through attic and found somebody else, right? No, he didn't. He got 1 kill, bam, he was shut down. Zelos did not wait. The previous 3 rounds, I've seen a lot of Zelos, they get some kind of advantage, right? That was the point I was making last round, but they can't convert the advantage. They can't do anything with it. That round, totally opposite, and that is going to be the way forward for them.
Yeah, I do like what you said there. It's a little bit of a different show. They said, hey, we want meeting, and they really dedicated all of their focus to meeting. It was still a little sloppy to see 4 players stacked up in tower trying to only take it through that meeting wall, and I love that you called out that if they had a single player outside of the main lobby, those players in meeting are just guaranteed dead, especially since they didn't have any impacts left in their pocket there. But yeah, it's a little bit better to see Zealous actually commit to taking some space and saying, yeah, this is what we want. We are going to dedicate dedicate to it. But if the Leviathans only had one person in meeting and the players in the basement were just kind of vibing and sitting around waiting for the push from Zelos, it could have been a lot worse for them there. So maybe Leviathans getting a little over antsy, kind of trying to extend their lead a little bit too much, feeling themselves maybe just a little bit too confident in the game there. But it's not terrible for them. They're still up 3-1, and they're going to the site that it was a 1v2 clutch the last time we were here for Row. So maybe they can clean up their game a little bit. We talked about Zelos needing to clean up for the basement. If Leviathans clean this up as well, even if they just adapt to how Zelos attacked it in the slightest bit, it could be a much better round win for them. Or we could see Zelos continue that momentum that they just built up on that basement attack there, cleaning up their defense or their attacking side, playing together a little bit more and making this an even harder win for them.
A little bit of early droning here from Zelos. They're going to try for that utility off the wall. Grenades and flashes go on forward. Maybe Zelos looking to get a bit of a cut moving forward. You have that one player out towards Garage, and it just feels like every time Rowe pulls the trigger on that MX4, it's a head that wanders right into the crosshair. The Jackal down and out will not be seeing any use of that gadgetry. I feel like I haven't seen it done a darn thing so far this game, and with him out, Waffle does get traded back, so you're in a fair position, and I like the way that Zelos have set themselves up. They got players ready for that cut, but it still feels like Leviathan's being a little bit elusive.
Yeah, elusive is kind of the name of the game here, as Loudy's able to get a second pick for the side of the Leviathan. So they are established now in the lead, a 4v3 for themselves. Loudy is pretty much one bullet down to all of the remaining guns for Zelos, but he's still a gun up. So if he's able to get the drop on these players, it's almost like he hasn't lost any health there at all. We are about halfway through the round now, and with Wilson dying as well, the utility is just dwindling from the side of Zelos. They're down to just 2 nades in the pocket of Stickula, but I think most importantly, Stickula and Spooman are not near each other right now. They're not able to help each other, so even if they are able to isolate any kind of advantage or make this push work, they're looking in completely opposite directions and aren't going to be able to play around each other.
Before it's prepped here from Chu, looking to bank it over the top of the wall, and Spooman does need to be a bit careful here. Oh no, the Selma getting captured by an ADS there. Seems they forgot to check for it. Chu now ready with the C4 one more time, but being very hesitant about it. Seems like he still won't let it slip, and there it goes finally, but nothing doing. Looks like it got trapped on the top of the wall, but it did actually get the Sama, so I suppose a bit of reward there, but Spooman now out of hard breaching equipment, trying to check tuck for Bolo. It'll get him killed. The Jackal ultimately not being able to get any isolation here on the site leaves Leviathan so free to move around and get any kill that they need. Spitica left just out towards Trophy, and he can't get anything. Nobody wanting to avail themselves. 2 grenades left here. Trophy system still active behind the Finka. Even if she wanted that utility, she's not getting it. Spitica will notch another one, but it just looks so impossible. Zelos with a little bit of flash on that basement attack, but not really working the same up top.
I think the defining feature of that basement attack just seems to be that they were able to get in the building. Whenever Leviathans is just denying all the entrances, it feels like they don't have any ideas for how to barrel through and make that work for themselves. You saw it again here, right? The players, the furthest they got into the building there was that trophy space. The rest of them were dying, vaulting in windows or just around doorways. So being able to keep them outside of the building is definitely a very powerful defensive tool for the Leviathans, and it was a very good defense to see out of them as well. We saw previously they relied on Row to clutch a little bit, and they cleaned that up. They showed us why they like that site a lot more, right, over that meeting, which we saw technically be better for them the first time in the rotation there. So it's good to see them kind of display the power that they can have on the site there, as well as finally getting to see my personal favorite utility usage in the game, which is the Nitro trick to stop all forms of hard breaching.
It felt like having the lack of the Soma there was a bit of a problem. Again, I seem to see Zelos every time they just kind of get formed up in some part of their execute, and then some utility is blocking their way. Perhaps that's a fault of the bans. Leviathans coming in, knew they were on the first defense here, chose to remove the Flores, and it sort of puts yourself in a position here for Zelos where you don't have really many of the tools that you would like to on Oregon, but you need to be prepared for that situation nevertheless. And in this final round, a big one. Zelos need this. I just feel like Leviathans are going to take this momentum, knowing that they lost in the first week. They're not going to let one slip here. This is going to be, in my opinion, probably a pretty decisive game, even if we get onto the attack and Zelos have a couple funky things here or there.
I really liked this operator lean from Leviathans as well. They kind of understood that Zelos relies on this Jackal to try and make roam clearing work, and they haven't even gotten the value out of that. So if you're doubling down, right, if you give Row that rotate into Attic and bring a Vigil on board, this roam clear from the side of Zelos is going to be even harder to do when you're trying to track players that aren't visible, and then they're still committing to that basement kind of extension vibe that they were doing in the first round of the map, where they're cheating up on these staircases, right? This Jaeger's all the way up on top of the staircase, only one brick wall away from the Yana here, and he's not entirely alone here. Does get tagged up through the wall a little bit, but there's a player on the cam is not able to direct them to get those tags back. Waffle drops the armory hatch onto Bronze, so the Yana's eliminated already, and Rowe follows him with it. This is just a smart roaming. Rowe knew that Vigil was going for that play and decided that he was going to be there to back him up on it. That's just some good coordination and team play demonstrated on roaming there.
Really hard to feel confident of the way that Zelos are prepared in this attack right now. Have players just in every other corner of the map, and doesn't seem like they're really all working towards the same goal. Spitica will look for the challenge against Rowe, but we know what that alibi has done so far. You can blink and you'll miss it there as Rowe gets up to double digits, and the Jaeger mounts the top of the stairs, but a good reaction from Badger. Can you predict this one, though? It's Waffle to drop the hash in a garage. Somehow, the Vigil will foul up the kill as Rowe is looking to tag in now, too.
At least that player outside of the main door understood that that was a possible position for Rowan, didn't give him free kills, but a cheeky smoke walk up the backstairs claims another 2 drones, and if you take a look at the drone economy left from Zelos, there's only 2 drones left that they can actually drive around, so hopefully the other 2 are in a position that they can watch something for the attackers here, and there's only a minute left on the round, and they haven't dealt with all of these roamers. They know that Rowe is out and about, and they know how scary Rowe is. Look at his KD. The man's 10-2. You gotta feel like if he's out anywhere on the map, there's a chance he's going to fry you for it, but he doesn't check the attic window, so Wilson's able to clean up the last roamer, and now there's 45 seconds left for these 3 attackers, excuse me, to try and isolate and pick off Chu and Proxima. The smoke in the Kaid, but look at all of their in-pocket utility. There's a Nitro plus 3 smoke canisters that will probably start being deployed here soon to try and slow down this push even further.
I can't say I really blame Rowe for dying to that bit of a weird quirk of positioning for Spoonman to be outside that window with under a minute remaining. Chu able to strike back. You've gotten rid of Wilson, and Badger on terribly low HP. Proxima set up on a great spot here. Toxic Babe will go forward. It looked like that player actually vaulted the railing. Spoonman on a triple kill. Just trying to wander through, and Chu tucked right. Oh, the Cade spotted, but no! Right into the threshold of the door. Cheated out of the 1v1, and it's another defensive pickup for Leviathans.
Yeah, that was such good positioning there from Proxima and Chu, right? The Chu being able to call out that, I believe it was the Sledge player, I can't remember who it was, Wilson, thank you, from the side of Zelos as he was trying to cheat down those main stairs, being able to call him from that, and then have both players focus all of their attention on the tower stairs. You have 3 smoke canisters in pocket, and the Jackal was on like maybe 20 HP, so you throw the smoke canister into E-Box, and that Jackal just can't drop it. You saw him get down to the smoke, trying to walk down tower stairs as well, so just the ability for Proxima to deny those angles and make it look so trivial for Leviathans there. That's a well-earned 5-1 lead, and it's a very scary 5-1 lead if you're the side of Zelos. You've got to make this round work right now, or you're staring down 6 match points in a row if you want to take this to overtime. And they didn't take us to the one side of the map that is defender-sided definitively. Instead, we're going upstairs. So hopefully they've got something in their pocket here that makes this look like a very defender-sided site.
And I think another part of this game that does really seem quite worrying for Zelos is, in a majority of the rounds in the first half, it was actually them who had the opening kill. They were leading a lot of times, but Leviathans never let up. They would trade it religiously, and Zelos' failure to convert has plagued them so far, and that's going to be a problem on the defense as well, but it usually crops up in a different fashion. When you see the defenders lead off in that opening kill, generally they get too aggressive, and that's where the trade comes back at them from. So I think this first round tells you a lot, and in my opinion, when you just get thrashed like that through the first half, it's a little bit more than, you know, oh, we're on the attacking side first, so it's going to be harder. Nah, not really. You had your rounds to adjust. Zelos did adjust. They did get 1 round, but they could not do that on any side other than the basement.
Yeah, you're talking about how good Leviathans were at trading out those opening picks, and all I can think to myself is, yeah, Roe is the saint of avenging teammates there. Wilson does get another opening pick for Zelos, so they're still good in that regard, just being able to find these opening picks. And now that they're on the defense, maybe they'll have a little bit easier time there of being able to convert this advantage into a round win. You see Wilson as well sneaking into the position that Loudy was trying to clear, so that's actually a pretty decent read in my opinion, because who's going to check the spot that you were trying to swing into, and the guy came from the hallway there. So it's trying to do a little bit of a tuck play here, as well as the rest of the players from Zelos just kind of sitting back. They're not sitting back enough that they're not impacting it. Bronze finds one on this underneath roam as well. So these players from Zelos just being able to find more value than they were on the defensive hack. But there's definitely a good look for them and what they needed to try and win this game out.
Oof. Unlucky for Roe there. Should have had a sure thing against the Bandit, but Spoonman will drop down the hatch, and he gets away with his life and a little bit more. Here goes a grenade. They're going to finally try to deal with this Jaeger, but it looks like the frag is off target. It's been a tough round for Leviathan so far. Losing their hard breach, losing one set of nades, and finally, it'll be Roe to work one back. You need more than Roe here. It can't just be the Roe show, so to speak, as Leviathans try to have Chu creep on in through attic. It looks like Zelos are aware of this, just you can see from the smoke's perspective, covering up the door deployable shield. Chu not really having many opportunities forward, but he will open up some himself. As down goes Wilson, and Badger and Leviathan start to look a little bit more possible here. Grenade goes forward, and boom! Right on target against Spitica. It's only left up to Spoonman. Where's he? He fell down the hatch earlier, remember? He's down on the first floor, nowhere near the site, but what he does have is the case. And Leviathans are going to start to worry now because they need to get down here, and there's a lot of angles you're going to have to check to figure out where Spoonman is. However, the Bandit looking really passive here, starting to creep forward on ADS. What are you looking at there, buddy? And it's Roe. Wow, to finally close down there. Leviathans never count them out of a scenario. A great 2v4 from the Finka and Maverick.
I think the biggest difference there was look at how Leviathans played that 2v4. They were stacked on top of each other. They were throwing their utility, and they were ready to try and make their claim into the site there. It was very good look for them to be able to burst into the site like that, and you gotta think that Zelos is going to use their timeout now, as they are doing. They're on match point now for the rest of the game until they get to overtime. They've got to win 5 in a row if they want to even see a chance of that, and I'm going to be honest with you, Stick. I've been trying to think of row puns the entire time, and I think I finally got it here. Their Leviathans are putting Zealous through the rodeo. That's all I got.
I love that. That's a solid one. I would not have come up with that. And I don't know what Zelos are going to have to come up with in this timeout. It's going to need something short of miraculous because he just had a clear opportunity to close out the round. And I love when that happens. I make this point. Zelos, they get the opening kill, but they can't convert it into a round win. And then you just get the perfect example. 2v4, 2 players left in pit, as they said in the chat. I mean, that should be a no-win scenario. But what's the Jaeger doing? Where's he going? What is he gonna go run into the breach that's closed? I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. And that one mistake was just a waterfall that ultimately drowned the rest of the defense.
They're also committing the cardinal sin, if you will, on paper, according to Pengu, which is they're going back to a site that they just lost very narrowly, and in that fashion, it always feels bad to lose a site like that, but sometimes you need a change of scenery, and especially when you had such a close loss like that, go to basement. It's a good site, you should be good at playing it, and then you can come back up here. We get it, you're confident in the site, but sometimes just changing the pace just a little bit more, especially after a timeout like that, can give you a little bit more of that mental edge, and then once you get yourself on a little bit of a momentum going forward, then you come back up here, then you come to the site that you lost on to try and convert it in your favor here. But maybe they did talk through something that I haven't even been considering yet, so hopefully we do get to see something different come out of them. And so far in the operator differences, they've subbed out a mute for the Kaid, so they're still very heavily leaned into this wall denial philosophy here, which is a little bit interesting. I'd love to go back and see where they put all of that electricity, because I can't even think of 8 walls that you'd want to be electrified on the upstairs site here. So maybe they read into that. They said, yeah, if we just had a little bit extra electricity on attic, they couldn't get in, yada yada, etc, and then we win the round. So hopefully we get to see that coming out, but of course Leviathans can use that timeout as well, and they're pulling out all the stops here. Capitao, Lion, Glaz, man, how do you feel about that?
Looks like Leviathans who just kind of want to get the game over and done with and not have to suffer on any longer. They want to get Oregon over with and maybe hit a little bit of an early night grenade. Ooh, looked like it was right on target. Here goes Bronze trying to swing into row. Leviathans lead off, but it's not for long, says Badger, coming back on top of Waffle. Another nade, it'll move on forward. The Jaeger tried to be ready for it. Somehow, that frag does not affect the Jaeger, as Wilson will skate back on Spooman, looking to maybe retake this control down low.
Yeah, a minute through the round, but I think it's very important to see just how much space Leviathans are actually contesting when you compare it to what Zelos was doing here. They're all the way up into this kitchen space and are trying to make this clear that they're making work. All right, they've got these nades going underneath the site. They've got people coming up here. You expect this to be that big window white take, a kind of El Clasico now. It's just been rising in popularity here, and they've got the people in a position at a reasonable time to make it work. So it's a very well-coordinated attack. I mean, Roe is hitting shots like that. You gotta feel like we might be sounding the death knell here for Zelos. It's a 4v3. We've seen these be turned. We've seen 2v4s be turned, so it's not impossible to see Zelos come back into this round, but it feels right now like they're gonna need nothing short of a miracle to make that happen.
Boomin is successful on the flank. You saw that player in dining, maybe daydreaming a little bit, allowing the flank to propagate down through the basement stairs, and Leviathans, now it does start to become a little bit more worrying. You do have 2 Capital bolts, not sure which variety those are, but either way could be helpful in coming in on this execute. Flame Bolt moves forward, and it launches the Bandit into clear and plain sightline of the Lion. That doesn't matter at all. Spooman rifles off another one, leaving it up to Proxima. Does have the LMG, but 50 seconds with all Defender gun barrels trained. This would have to be a fantastic throw for Zelos to give this one away.
Yeah, what a turnaround from Zelos there to be able to flip this entirely just 180 there, being able to pick a bad situation into their favor there. Spooman has a lot to be credited there, but Proxima's not to be counted out just yet. He's used that smoke, he's used the fire, but he walks into a 180 crossfire there from Zelos, and that looked a lot better from them, just in general, being able to win those ones, and a lot of that was on the back of Spooman, I believe getting a 4K throughout that round to make it work for themselves there, but you can't always rely on that, right? It's good to get that round. You're back in it. You're at a 6-2. It's slightly better for you than it was just a couple of minutes ago. You've got to win basement now. Yeah, you should be able to do that, right? It's basement. Everyone expects you to be good down here, and then we get to the real challenge of the map, which is winning that tertiary site, but one round at a time. It's basement time for the Zealous.
I think that round also for Zelos, in addition to the momentum it gives them, it might help maybe boost the morale of Spooman a little bit. He had not been having the most fantastic game. I think he was maybe on 1 or 2 kills before that round. Now he's able to feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, he can do Spooman things. He can kind of move around. And honestly, I don't know if the Bandit ever did put down those batteries. I think maybe that was just Spooman deciding that he wanted the MP7 and a C4 for that round, and saying that the utility doesn't really matter much to him.
You could have just picked Zero, man. Zero's also got the MP7. Wrong side, sure, but you know, just port him over. We are going down to the basement here. It's a pretty typical lineup, I think, all things considered. The only abnormality in my eyes is that Thorn. I'm curious to see where those Razor Blooms go out. I've seen Razor Blooms, in my opinion, they typically either have 0 value or 100% value. So hopefully they're in spots here that are able to contribute positively for the side of Zelos here. We are going to be getting into the round. We do see a 6th pick come in from Waffle there. We get to see Nox debut as well. So Leviathans still kind of feeling themselves enough to pick these operators that thrive in the Anarchy. And you know what else thrives in the Anarchy? 8 frag grenades there coming out from the side of Leviathans. Nowhere is safe.
You know, Leviathans, I said earlier, they banned Flores. I think they understand kind of the idea as far as what you need to do when you do ban that operator. You got to bring a lot of explosives. You have to be able to dismantle some of that utility. You got 2 shields and a bulletproof, so really not a tremendous amount of bulletproof gadgetry that you're going to walk into here, but maybe saving some of those other grenades for lethality against some of the players here. Waffle trying to move on forward. Silent step with the Nook. Got one tucked up right. Is he going to check the close angle? He sure does, and Bronze does make away with that opening kill, but we know how the story goes for Zelos. Let's see. Do they grab another one, or does it go back to a 4 versus 4?
You've got the stats available, Stick. I'd love to know, of these 9 rounds, how many opening kills has Zealous got, because it feels like 75% so far. Rowan from Leviathans taking up the mantle that Waffle left behind there, and we see Loudy as well pushing up this tower area, so this Jaeger is well and truly trapped, but it's good play here by Bronze to just try and hide in this space. He's not giving himself up too easily, and when Wilson's able to pick up Chu as well, sneaking up these freezer stairs, it's a good look from Zealous to make these attackers work for it. He does finally get traded, but he takes almost all of Ro's health with him, but he is playing that Finka, so he gets it back up just a little bit there, and hopefully by the time we get to see the execute, another 40 has come back here, but a lead firmly established now for Zelos, and hopefully they can buck the trend of throwing leads here and make this round work for them.
Nice little rotation of the shield. Spoonman just preparing for what looks to be a front take in motion. Gonna reinforce off elbow. Not gonna need that. No attackers in the vicinity. And Leviathans with their Hibana just staring down through the hatch. Not a lot of options going forward. 3 grenades and 3 flashes. So you do have an opportunity. Maybe push a player out here. Get rid of a certain piece of utility. Ro and P. Loudy on the adjustment looking to head south as... Still going to have the Hibana lurk down towards main. Unfortunately, now as P. Loudy's picked off, it's not long for Ro. And what's Hibana going to do? 1v2 here. Just gets swung. An easy kill by Badger. 2 in a row by Zelos. A little bit of a comeback or something looking to be shut down here by Leviathans.
Yeah, I also just love the direction we're seeing these Zealous rounds come from, too. That first round that they won upstairs being the previous round, of course, it felt like it was entirely on Spoonman, right? He had to be the one making those hero plays, finding 4 kills for himself in that round. But this time it just felt like Zealous was a well-put-together machine. It's like they understand how Oregon is played on the defensive side. Maybe they just need to clean up their attacks a little bit more. But that looked pretty well put together from them to be able to establish leads and not lose them there. But this is where the true test comes in. We're going to Meeting Hall Kitchen. It is a brutal site to play. The mid floor on this map, I think, is one of the worst set of tertiary sites on any map. It just feels bad no matter what you do. So it's going to be cool to see how Zealous wants to take into this site, right? How they want to set this up to enable them to win this round. And every team's got their own little style of it. We've seen some teams in this league extending out into Z Hall, that reinforcement that Bronze just put down. Obviously, Zealous not going for that here, but it's going to be cool to see what their unique take on this site is.
Yeah, I suppose the only map that has a worse set of tertiary sites is probably Coastlines. Not even in the pool anymore, so not much of a question
Maybe
there.
Consulate, but...
Yeah, Consulate, I feel like all the sites suck, so it's not really applicable.
They're all tertiary.
Yeah, you don't want to pick any of them. You might as well just get rid of the map entirely. And what do you know? That's just what they did. Anyway, so tertiary luck here for Zelos. Are they going to be able to do it? I feel like so far it's not really been much to do with the site that they've played through. Zelos have just been pretty good in the early game and have known their limits. They've kind of fallen back when they've needed to, and when something has been required, Spoonman or Wilson or Badger has stepped up to accomplish that.
Yeah, the early round coming out here, and Leviathan's definitely making great pace into the building as they're trying to clear out these upstairs roamers of Bronze and Wilson, try and push them back so they can leverage this upstairs against the defenders here. So with only about 40 seconds down in the round, they've definitely got a lot of room here to work with already. Bronze is probably going to be this first point of contact, as Wilson's not really in a spot to help out that player who's kind of stuck in attic here. And with those holes open in the wall, you got to feel like Bronze is going to have to try and duel his life out here. He can't really escape. There's no rotates or reinforcements for him to play around, so he's just got to try and make it work however he can. He has ducked by the vision of Ro, and he does swing back through it, loses a little bit of his health for it there, as Waffle now as well starts sneaking up, and Ro loses the opening duel. Zealous is too good on those today, but Waffle does trade it back out as Jaeger fell down the stairs as well to some extent, so this roam clear is coming in, but Wilson's able to pick up a second one for his roaming side of the thing, so overall it is a 2-for-1 trade on that roam for the side of Zealous.
Kind of taking what you can get here and falling back, but Leviathans, it feels like at any point you can kind of get ready and execute onto this site. You lost the Maverick, you're going up against a Kate, could be a little bit challenging to deal with that there if you're not aware of the placement of that gadgetry. Now you've got an opportunity just to peer down through the hatches. You don't want to focus up too much on this because I feel like a lot of times the attackers will just sit on the hatches and do nothing. Maybe the defenders are just unavailable. Either way, you've got the sledge. He can create a little bit more vertical over towards this dining side, and I feel like that's probably the area you want to stay away from. Meeting looks less defended, got less unknown factors about kind of that showers area over towards bottom white that could harbor defenders, and they sure do in this scenario.
Yeah, a lot more spaces to hide behind it. What a one-tap there from Waffle to pick off that player just over the top of the shield there, and he finds a second one, being able to down the Kaid. So the man advantage is now in favor here for the Leviathans. First time in this round, first time in a while actually. They've been getting kind of slapped around by Zelos in these last couple of rounds, but they now have the advantage, and it's Spoomad left in a 1v3. We've seen him single-handedly take down 4 players before, so it's not out of the question that he'll be able to win this, but with the worst gun in the game as dubbed by Canadian, it's going to be a tall ask here. Plant now being attempted. He's got to find this first fight against Loudy. He's able to tag him down to about 1 HP there, but he's got another player ahead of Waffle trying to get it down, and now since the plant is done as well, Proxima's able to get off of that and relocate themselves to get ready for this post-plant take here. Loudy's up on top of the box. Nade's coming out as well, just dumping all of the utility and the kitchen sink towards Spoomman to not let him in, and that castle barricade behind him means he can't really reposition. He's got to take this fight with Loudy, and he does lose it. Zealous dropped the ball at the very I don't want to say close game, but they managed to make it closer than we thought it was going to be on the outlook. Leviathans take a 7-3 win here on Oregon.
Maybe it looked like Zelos had a little bit more energy on the defense there, but ultimately, when you go 5-1 on that first half for the offense, you have so much momentum behind you. You have so much energy to close the game out. When you've got Rowe, who's just on a monster bomb, was getting everything done, and the rest of the Leviathans look absolutely drilled and disciplined, it's hard to fight against that, and I think Zelos figuring that out. It'll be Leviathans moving to 1-1, and both squads actually tied in terms of results from the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's also good to note, round differential is our primary tiebreaker here in the Xenon Gaming series, so getting that, I believe it was +4 for Leviathans out of this game brings them, I believe, to a positive +2 round differential overall, so it's good to be moving in a positive direction there. But I think even more importantly, what a show on such a staple map from Leviathans. They looked very well put together, and a lot of teams do call Oregon their home, and do you want to invite Leviathans to your home now, right? There's that extra little mental game of Leviathans look really good here. So you might want to second guess yourself a little bit more before you invite them onto this map in the future.
With that being said, we're going to jump to a quick break. We'll have an interview with one of our winning players when we come back.
There's something in the air.
Welcome back to the Xenon Gaming Series. We are joined with Ro from Team Leviathans after that 7-3 victory over Zelos on Oregon. Ro, how are you feeling after that game?
I'm feeling pretty spicy right now. I mean, kind of popped off. I don't know what I went, like 16-5 or 16-6.
Yep.
I'm happy with how we played. I know individually not everybody was playing up to how they should. We talked about that for a minute before I came in here, but it was a pretty easy game. The only rounds that they won was mistakes that we made, and we talked about that and we got it fixed. So in reality, I really think we could have honestly won 6 or 7-1 or 7-0.
So I have a question of my own. I'm kind of a newcomer here to the Xenon gaming series. Did you have any expectations of this opponent? You ever play them before? Have any kind of insider intel on their players?
Nope. Our coach Velo, he kind of knew a little bit about them. He just gave us some basic information like what maps they might ban, what they don't like to play, kind of their play style. But like
Right.
we didn't do anything too heavy. They don't know us, I'm sure, and we don't know them, so we weren't really concerned about it. We were more or less concerned with ourselves.
And so to add on to that, I got to talk about what happened on the dorm site. You guys are in attic. There's a deployable shield. There's people watching every single angle. For you, I think you were the Finka. You had a Maverick there as well. How do you boil down that scenario to get in against a crossfire that should be for the defense unbeatable?
Okay, so you're talking about the attic round where it was 2 of us in pit alive and that was it?
Yeah.
Okay. To be honest, we should never win that round. You put us in that scenario 9 times out of 10, we should lose that round 9 times out of 10, and that was the 1 out of 10 times that we won that round. They played it horribly. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why their bandit was still downstairs. I don't know why the dude on top white was kind of just staying on top white, knowing I was a Finka with nades. Because I don't think I used a single nade or gone 6 that round until I got rid of their pit shield, and then my first nade went out onto that top white guy. So they kind of, I don't know, they played it very poorly in my opinion.
Right. All right, Ricky. Any more questions?
Yeah, I've got one for you guys. We saw last week you guys had a little bit of troubles there, losing out Chalet 5-7. It was close,
Mhm.
but you did still end up losing that. And this felt like a complete like rebirth for you guys after you steamrolled through your qualifiers to see you guys pull up a 7-3 performance against Zealous. Is this what we can expect from you guys going forward? Was there just a little bit of a stumble in week one? And where do you guys see yourself kind of in the grand scheme of this league right now?
Um, I okay. So this sounds horrible for me. Haven't really paid attention to groups or anything too well, so I don't really know if there's even groups in this league right now. It sounds very horrible. I need to talk to my team about it, or at least look at it. If I do need to get into that, but I definitely think we're getting playoffs. Like I want to say fairly easily because I feel like we're capable of it. Week 1, we definitely stumbled. I feel like we're also a new team. Like during those qualifiers, we were only a 4-day old team, and that's I think out of the gate, like into week 1, I think it was just like we made our first league, and like sure it's not SFCL, but like it's our first league together as a 5. First week, I think we kind of just got game day jitters for the first time. So I think it was definitely just a stumble. I feel like we run that back, and we're gonna roll those guys too, hopefully.
Yeah, you'd love to see
Well,
that kind of confidence here. Stick, you got anything less before we head out to a break?
Uh, no more questions, but I will open up the floor if you've got any, special shout outs, anything, say to the coach, say to the fans, say to the family. Go ahead.
Thanks to my mom. She's in the other room right now. You know, she believes in me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, for real. Leviathans underscore GG on Twitter. That's my org. They're the boys. They're the best. Probably one of the best orgs I've ever been a part of. Shout out to all my teammates. You can find them on Twitter. Their usernames, I think, are the exact same as their in-game names if you see it on the stream. And then me, RowR6S on Twitter. You know, that's it. I think can't wait to go into the next game.
Well, good luck in week number 3. Congrats on an awesome game today, and we hope to see you doing well. Maybe playoffs in the question, but that's all for tonight. Have a good night, man.
Hey, you too. Thanks for having me.
Well, Ricky, now we're looking towards the rest of the schedule tonight. Tell us a little bit about the games that we got going in front of our screen.
Yeah, we've got one more game tonight to cap out week 2 here before we head into week 3, starting, I believe it's on Monday there. We got one more game tonight, and that's Project Magic, the Season 1 and 2 Xenon Gaming League champions versus Outlast Academy. Not an easy game for either team. I've definitely had some experience with what Project Madness, formerly Mr. Pang, is able to do, and you've got a little bit more experience with the Outlast boys, but it should be a pretty good game. It's coming up in about 10 or so minutes here, but we're gonna head out to a break. Don't leave though. This is not one you're gonna want to miss.
You said you meet me at A. Now you're 2 hours late. Why you wasting my time? I saw you on the first day. Didn't know what to say. Put my pride on the line. Well, you can meet me on a dance floor, all alone. Not a care in the world. I'm dancing all on my own. Well, you can meet me on a dance floor, all alone. Not a care in the world. I'm dancing all on my own. Oh, 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 ah, 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 ah. Now there's cups on the floor and there's cops at the door. We don't pay them no mind. I've met the neighbors before and they're outside the door. They seem angry this time. Well, you can meet me on a dance floor, all alone. Not a care in the world. I'm dancing all on my own. Well, you can meet me on a dance floor, all alone. Not a care in the world. I'm dancing all on my own. whatever you want. I'll settle for nothing, as long as we can keep the fire. I'll do whatever you do, follow you anywhere. If our chances are getting brighter, but I want you to know I can't help but fight this feeling. I want you to try. Imagine living without it, without it. So let's go. Heaven is worth fighting for, you know. I'll be standing right next to you, next to you. Oh, I know it won't be easy, but it's true. We will regret what we didn't do, what we didn't do, what we didn't do. I know you're feeling it too. This short is something. I know that this will take us higher. I'll do whatever you do. Let's take cover before our chances are getting darker. But I want you to know I can't help but fight this feeling. I want you to try. Imagine living without it, without it. So let's go. Heaven is worth fighting for, you know. I'll be standing right next to you, next to you. Oh, I know it won't be easy, but it's true. We will regret what we didn't do, what we didn't do. I did kung fu my feelings sometimes. Got misdirected, you know what to say. And I was telling myself many lies, just like the old days. So is that what you want? I'll bring it in. Another level and you feel like quitting. It will be tough and we will surely be paying the price. Don't know about you, but I feel we're winning. So let's go. Heaven is worth fighting for, you know. I'll be standing right next to you, next to you. Oh, I know it won't be easy, but it's true. We will regret what we didn't do, what we didn't do. We will regret what we didn't do, what we didn't do. Show me loving. I need your loving. Cause I'm drowning in something and I can't come out. Just show me loving. I need your loving. Me, myself, ain't enough. It's like being a thought to a crushing heart. I want you to know how bad it hurts. You can get beside along my heart. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now? The way I do. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now? The way I do. Hold me, lover. I need you, lover. Cause I'm falling in too quickly and I can't break free. Just hold me, lover. I need you, lover. Me and myself ain't enough. It's like being alone in a crashing car. I need you to know how bad it hurts. Hearing the sound of my broken heart. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now? The way I do.
Well, hello everyone. We're back for our second match of the evening. We just got done with a pretty decisive result. The St. Louis Leviathans setting expectations for the rest of their season with a 7-3 victory over Team Zelos. Now we're looking to a game that has a little bit more fire behind it, a returning champion versus a team that is on a bit of momentum at the start of the season.
Yeah, Project Madness, of course, being our returning champions from Xenon Gaming Series Season 1 and 2. They did win both, and they had such a great showing at the end of Season 2. I believe 3 winning former Valence Academy, now 96 Bulls. And they looked really good while doing it. Of course, they got their free buy into the group stage. They got off to a very slow start, though. I believe they lost 1-7 against Superlight, which is not a very good showing when you're the returning champions. And they're up against a menacing team here as well, that being Outlast Academy. Not an easy opponent for them to go up against, but if they want to make this revenge arc work, if they want to get themselves back up onto these leaderboards in the positions we expect them to be in, they've got to make it start right here.
Right, and for Outlast Academy, the reason why they're so fearsome is it's just a really talented roster that has good components that fit together well, and I don't know, there might be another loss on the column for Project Madness tonight. It's going to be certainly a tough game. I have a bit of a personal connection on the other side for Outlast Academy. One of their players, Nightmare, actually kind of grew up in some of the same circles as me over in the PS4 console competitive days back then. And I never teamed with him directly, but I did know him. I did see him play in a lot of games. And you've also, with Nightmare, you've got Spudsack, who did manage to sub in for one Challenger League game. And in terms of stats, has really been leading the charge for this Outlast Academy team.
Yeah, Project Madness side, I've got a couple of connections there. I don't know too many of them. I wasn't born and raised with them, but I've been around the circles enough to know they're one of those teams that never lets themselves feel like they're at a disadvantage. They always want to walk into a gunfight or a site setup like they know what's going on and they're going to beat you to a pulp with it, which is why I was so surprised to see them lose 1-7. I do believe we've got the map bends ready here, so hopefully we can get into the game relatively soon. There we go. We are going back to Oregon, everyone's favorite home, apparently, at least for today. It'll be cool to see. I think the differences between the Oregon game we just saw and this Project Madness Outlast Academy game, I'd love to see some Oregon gameplay at the higher levels of play. And these two teams especially, I believe, can give us one banger match on Oregon.
Yeah, we had a 7-3 earlier on this very same map, and who's to say maybe things won't go into overtime for this one, but we should be moments away from cracking on with Oregon and figuring out who are the winners and losers of week number 2. And honestly, I really hope for that kind of comeback storyline for Project Madness, who went up against Superlight, who I have heard are a pretty well-regarded team, pretty dominant in SFCL, I think, last season or thereabouts. And on the other side, Outlast Academy are a roster that I have not seen. I don't think they've been together for terribly too long, but they have some good potential, and it's going to be an awesome clash, whoever takes it.
Yeah, clash indeed, and we took so long on the break that I believe we're about ready to hop into the game. So the operator band's going to be coming out here soon. Previous game on Oregon, we saw the Thatcher Flores come out, as well as the Mira Azami. I'm sorry, was Azami banned last game?
She was available.
No, she was not. I wrote down my notes incorrectly. Azami was available. It was a Valk ban. So being able to see those differences in the bans here as well, especially you highlighted it so much, and I think you were right on it, the Flores ban impacting how Azami's value is going to be able to shape on this map. We didn't get to see too much Azami, only the one site being meeting. So it'll be cool to see how these teams want to play around such a powerful map-defining operator like Azami. We are going to stick to the old tried and true here for the first ban from the side of Outlast Academy. Thatcher gets removed from the board first. Not too surprising there. Those EMPs are still incredibly impactful.
We'll see who comes up next. It would lean, in my mind, probably towards Maverick, but it will actually be the Flores. So same operators, at least in terms of attackers, banned across our two maps here tonight. And we'll get over to the defense. I believe it was Kaid and Mira that got taken out on that series earlier. It might have been... I know for a fact it was Mira. Mira and Valk. That makes sense. But we will get the Kaid. We'll see who the last one is. Azami, you mentioned there, was really strong when she was played on Meeting, and I feel like she's got potential to do good things on really any site that you put her on. But from that game that we witnessed earlier, Azami's just made it like the attackers couldn't do anything. There was so much cover, there was so much uncertainty, really, is the best way to put it. You never knew what you were peeking, who was where, and because Oregon is so focused on that intel game, if you're out there as a defender taking care of those drones, it sets yourself up so well.
And something that I've never really seen Azami be used for that was utilized there a lot, there were a couple of Azamis around the hatch and attic there just to deny movement around it. Not really something I'd seen used a lot before, but it looked highly effective there, just denying movement around it. But we are in a new game here, and we are not seeing Azami here for round number 1, but we are seeing an operator that was banned in the previous game, Valkyrie, showing up as well. very powerful operator on this map, just being able to provide intel as to where the attackers are staging to get into the bomb site here. So being able to provide that intel towards Outlast Academy, being able to read into some flanks that they may be able to pull off and try and make this round look very clean for
Yeah, and on the attacking point of view, the Lion is an operator I was actually going to bring up for Team Zelos earlier. It's someone that you can really add in, brings a bit of extra structure. If you've got a defense that's really kind of all over the place, it's doing, you know, a lot of roaming, you need that Lion in order to lock things down and really push in on the execute. It's similar to Ying, probably not as powerful when you're actually coming into the site, but having it, bringing some extra burn, bringing 50 rounds in the magazine is always helpful.
And some early gunfights coming out here as well. Spudsack just getting a couple of tags onto Butcher outside that small tower of space there, as the Project Madness is going to start working their way in, having roamed him back further into Kitchen. They're trying to take this underside of the map, something very similar we saw earlier on today, control the underside of the map, use that verticality through those fragmentation grenades. They've got 6, not quite as many as we saw earlier, but 6 is quite a number to get the job done here. So trying to use those to disrupt the defenders upstairs is going to be the name of the game here. These initial lines of defense here for Outlast as well. Spudsack being able to just tag himself out of these positions as well. We are dropping Swing down to very low HP, getting high value there, but Swing's not going to go down without a fight. Nightmare drops for the first kill of the game, but Spudsack trades it back immediately in a very fast 1-for-1.
So now that you've lost that one, still some elusiveness for Spudsack, who's just trying to stay alive, but he gets denied. Pressure from up above on that hatch, trying to just keep the attackers away, but it's Swing who will deal with that factor. A grenade goes up, and it takes out the smoke. Spudsack still down inside security at the moment, and Project Madness should be able to confirm this one. Looks like the smoke is, or even the Jaeger's actually fallen down through the freezer hatch. Not sure if the possibility is very realistic that somebody gets down there to pick him up, and there will have it extra with the finish off, but Angel still steadfast in the defense of top white.
Yeah, we're down to just a 2v2 situation here as well, with 6 flashbangs and 2 Lion scans still left here for Project Madness, but why need those when you can just wallbang them through the wall? We're down to a 1v1 on the first round. Angel calls him as he's vaulting in. The Lion scan's not going to keep him at bay. A very close first round, but a round win for Outlast nonetheless. Very well played to them to be able to clean that up, to find those advantages even when they were just getting swarmed by the side of Project Madness there. Being able to maintain their composure, not something we were able to see a lot of the teams do earlier today, and being able to convert that round, very well played to Outlast.
Repeat champions looking a little shaky there in the first, and not able to convert when arriving at the execute. Outlast Academy, a big round for Angel, 4 pickups, just doing anything that his team needed him to, being so fluid, kills with the SMG, making use of the explosives. It didn't matter what was needed of Angel, he was the man to get it done. And Project Madness just needing to kind of tighten up a little bit, not allow an opportunity for the defense to kind of work in against them, and it was a little awkward to have Spudsack, you know, DBNO'd for so long, didn't know if he was actually down, where he was. Maybe there was somebody picking him up, but eventually Project Madness, after they corrected that, just couldn't get it done when they were arriving at the walls.
Yeah, I think another very important thing to bring up here was just that utility from the side of Project Madness wasn't necessarily finding the mark. We saw that 1 grenade kill, but that was pretty much it. With those last couple of players dying with 6 or so flashbangs left in pocket, just not being able to effectively get their utility out to clear those players out here. We are going down to basement here for round number 2, a very powerful site for the defenders, and especially when augmented with these Valkyrie cameras, just being able to feed Hidoy intel from those players who are safer on site, making this roam last longer. And when these players from Project Madness, as you can see the silhouettes right now, kind of just stacking up around this tower space, keeping these players out and about on the map, keeping them fluid and in motion, really just makes them more elusive and harder to deal with as you try and go onto the mid floor.
Project Madness in their attempt at a clear. Grenade goes in, will push the Attic player perhaps back, and I think Juicy does step forward into Attic to try to appropriate that map control. Outlast Academy have 2 players that have kind of linked up over towards that southwest corner of the map by dining. They've given up the second floor. They're not trying to hold it any longer, but Project Madness don't look too flustered so far. Kind of keeping in good spirits with what control they've got, making sure this player on the back stairs is constantly being authoritative. Angel goes down. A Swing Madness And they've kind of gotten their way forward, and maybe this is going to force Outlast Academy to kind of come in with an over-adjustment with these two defenders being so far away from the actual events of things.
Very interesting room clear coming out from Project Madness. If you don't want to contest them head on, well, apply enough pressure directly to site that they feel the need to come back down here as well. The Osa as well, not a very popular operator, but one that was getting value until Spudsack's able to win that duel through those E-box holes and shut that angle down. And we're now left to 2 players on the hatch plus this backstairs player here. They've got a minute 15 to work with, so it's not impossible for them to be able to find these picks and open up the space to expand their interest and influence into the site here, and especially with another player wrapping around towards that bunker space. They've got all of the angles they need here. It's now just a question of if they're able to make these 5 flashbangs work for them, to make that last permanent pocket work, and get themselves out into the space as the clock starts ticking down.
Gonna have to drop and kind of get into the action here. Spudsack caught in a little pinch move, and Soapy there stringing together another Nightmare, getting a little bit too ahead of things with the bomb chassis peak. Toxic Babe, the last of them, gonna sit there trying to block off the doors. Tomato waits with one more in pocket. Soapy moving in, doesn't seem to be taking any damage. That's a triple for the Nomad, marking down any attempt from the defense to stop it. Excellent coverage. Xer knew exactly what was happening and was in the perfect position to guarantee a flawless close down on that 3 versus 1.
That was such a good round from the attack there too. They understood where they needed to hit this Outlast defense to not really encounter the roamers, but make them feel pressured, make them fall back towards that freezer side, and only expand into the building to get the space that they needed. They didn't go any further. They wanted Meeting to get the hatch open. They got Meeting. They didn't go further. They didn't contest the Malusi or the Valkyrie towards that top freezer stairs and give them opportunities to make picks work for themselves here. And it worked so effectively that Outlast has decided that they are not going to repeat one of the better sets of the map, and instead we are going to see Meeting come out for the second time tonight. A little bit different style here as well, the Malusi plus the Echo, 2 operators that were not here last time, and very notably a lack of Castle and a Zombie, some operators that really make that soft breaching potential of the Flores being gone more potent. And it's something we saw Leviathans, I believe, lean into a little bit of. They understood the impact of that Flores ban, whereas here we're kind of seeing them just taking that Flores ban as, hey, we have 1 shield here, it's going to be impossible in here for you guys to clear, so maybe you have to come and deal with that shield in other ways and you have to be creative around.
The Nook was an operator. We did get a little bit, I think the Leviathans played it maybe 1 time. It's always kind of a strange operator, because you feel like it's such a niche thing. When the gadget is useful, it's hard to really tell that it's actually doing its job, and I don't really see it being super helpful here on this meeting room site. Maybe you could argue, okay, I could creep up through freezer and try to get in. I don't know. Maybe we'll just see Juicy play it for the nades. I don't know. He is kind of by himself, though. Maybe looking for something, kind of walk in, split lane, or a lot of times you will see defenders, if the main door isn't open, will try to rotate through lobby. Maybe that's the idea here for the Nook.
This is where that insider information comes into. Formerly Mr. Pang, now Project Madness, really like leaning into this knock in like weird situations. They find like little pockets here to try and work up onto Z-Hall, but Juicy does not get rewarded for it, and he himself goes down to 0-3 on this game, not having the greatest performance that we've known him to be able to have here. And there's something that we haven't talked about yet, which is this is the classic we've seen it a good amount of times now. This style of Osa-centric plant upstairs, but Nightmare's hitting nightmarishly good shots across the building there, through the buildings. Soapy is able to get 1 back, but not before being traded out himself by Spudsack. So it is a 4v now 1 as Tomato cleans up Butcher, and it's just that Osa that I was beginning to toss about before all hell broke loose here to try and find 4 players and make this round work.
Project Madness is just absolutely getting slaughtered on that top floor. Swing is going to try to just make his entry from green at this bomb chassis angle. It's hard to be prepared for every different kind of angle, and Nightmare will end it out there. The Osa will not be waking up from that one. Success on the tertiary objective, choosing after a basement loss to go up to meeting. It's a bit of a rough one. It's a bit of a kind of a chancy thing, but they go there. It works, and now Outlast Academy are looking good in the rotation as Dorms becomes unlocked once again.
Yeah, there was some very strong map play there by Project Madness to understand those angles from kids' dorms all the way to like the second level of tower there. Not something you're expected to be able to play around as comfortably as Nightmare made it look like he was familiar with there. Just being able to stop Project Madness before they were able to establish a stronghold on the map and try and make that OSA build space for them. Very well played with them there, and it looked really good while they were doing it too. We are coming back upstairs. They won this round in a very tense situation the first time we were up here, with Angel clutching that out. I believe the mute there, using that SMG-11 to deny the last two players of Sophie and Xer into the building. So hopefully they're able to clean up their act just a little bit more here and get themselves into the building and bring out that surprise factor. You see it on the side of your screen again. Nook makes her return. I'm sorry, Nook. I apologize. I'm really bad at the pronunciation there. Nook makes another appearance here, bringing out those frag grenades. We're still at 6 of them, so there still could go for that same style of execute, just getting an underneath and making the frag grenades work for them. But now they have that sneaky factor to them too, so it'd be interesting to see where Juicy goes.
Probably going to be the tried and tested just walk-up freezer, and you can see the pre-placed drone definitely reinforces that idea. I don't know. The first time around, Juicy tried to make it work. It felt a little bit forced. I think on this site, it's probably a little bit more viable. I think you do get a better shot at actually making this work. You do have to kind of move in quickly. You don't want to waste too much time. You've got a couple different pings here. That's the effect of the Lion going forward. Now we'll have a grenade from Swing trying to put it on Spudsack's position. Doesn't look like it was any good. And Swing actually taking a bit of damage. You want to keep an idea of that Nook's position because she's constantly creeping. It's actually Butcher who does the creeping. He steps down white but only gets one. Meanwhile, the Nook at the top of the stairs somehow lets the Valkyrie move on past. Not sure what's going on, but it's been no luck for Juicy so far in any of these rounds.
Yeah, Juicy not having the performance that he's known for here. He's typically one of those players at the top of the leaderboard. At least he's finding some level of impact by throwing out these nades and getting into the heads of Outlast Academy here. But he's gonna have to find more tangible results here, and those frag grenades not able to claim the results that he might have been hoping for here, as well, these players are all being picked back up. They're all at pretty good health here as well, except for Nightmare. And with half the round gone already, these players from Project Madness are going to have to pick up the pace just a touch more if they want to actually gain access into the site. Angel, who was so deadly here last time on a nasty angle here, rips the Nitro, throws it down the stairs, but is good movement there by Xer to not be claimed victim to that attack.
Can't say the same for Angel, though. Steps right into the sightline of Soapy. Now another down man advantage to Project Madness. Minute and 5 to try to find their way through. Tomato on a tiny sliver of it here, and once again, it's Juicy on the creep forward. Just looking to make the sneak up. The Valkyrie got past the first time, but it doesn't happen again. Juicy knocking down one. There's another, finally having a good performance for him, and ultimately it's cleaned up by the top white pressure. Attacking success, Project Madness will tie us up.
It's insane how much presence Juicy was able to build there by himself. Absolutely nothing in his pockets to help him there either. No drones watching those people walk up. No grenades to try and make anything work for him there. It was just his game sense and his gun to make that work. And he grabbed the attention of the Valkyrie, of the smoke playing in Attic. He grabbed half of the defenders still left standing there and made them look at him while the rest of the team was barreling through the big window in white. And at the end of the day, when you ask yourself, what is Nook supposed to give you as high value as they can, that is it. That is what you value, you want out of your Nook. You want the other team to be paranoid that they could be anywhere at any given time. We are going to head back to the basement. This was the first round Project Madness did win on their attack, so it's on Outlast Academy to make this work better for them now. And with these holes being opened up again, it's going to be on the Outlast side to make this room work. We saw last time Project Madness, was able to circumvent this round to an insane victory. So I'm very interested to see how Outlast is going to make these positions work better for them.
Yeah, I really liked how the attackers managed to just kind of push off the defense there. Weren't really worried about the roam last time we went down to the basement. It's not an easy thing to do, but it really just comes down to setting your expectations, knowing, okay, the defense is going to roam. We've seen basement before. So let's make sure we monitor some of the angles. We're not completely forgetting about the roam, but we're not trying to clear it out. We don't want to deal with that. And Swing looking to step up and try to push his luck over towards that construction side. It's a bit of a risky one. Now we'll maybe even have Soapy try to support. Nope, not happening. It'll be the Nomad moving in through back tower, as nothing has really gone to the way of Swing, but just applying that pressure is all he needs to do.
Yeah, this extra angle of pressure is known and felt by Outlast. You can see it with how Nightmare and Angel are positioning around this. They know they can't really reposition without giving themselves up to the angles that Swing is holding. Butcher as well, losing most of his health, trying to enter into that tower side area. It's a very similar attack coming out. Swing very similarly gets one for himself, but this time he decides to barrel up all the way up through elbow, and Angel will fell him on it as Butcher makes his way down into Pillar, and he's traded out by Hadoy. So at the end of the day, it's not much space gained except for this one player from Project Madness who's been creeping down Laundry and is all the way up on the rotate. It's Juicy on this Nook, just doing Nook things. He finds a great flick onto the player out in elbow and is now playing defender's positions now against them. He gets another one before Spudsack's able to level the playing field out against him. So now we're left into this 1v2 situation, and Spudsack has to make this work if he wants to see this round go Outlast way.
Final two attackers left here. Not a tremendous amount of utility, but with the control of the site, it's moving in for that plant. Spudsack seeing if he might be able to negotiate one against the Nomad. The Jaeger in a really tough spot here, and he might have missed his window. The plant completed, and both of the attackers back up and into the fray. They're going to choose to evacuate here from this pillar position. At least tiny amount of chip damage dealt onto Soapy. That flashbang only further reducing the amount of time Spudsack had, and Xer meanwhile creeping back in to cover that diffuser and swing out for the final blow.
Yeah, the coordination there from Project Madness just felt really good, right? Juicy has finally woken up and gotten himself onto the board, and he's now able to leverage that knock power. He found the opening that you normally don't get to see, creeping all the way down through that default rotate in Laundry there. It's not a position you expect to be able to get to, but when you pick Knock, it's almost like everyone turns their eyes and looks the other way. And especially in his case, he managed to take 3 gunfights and win a couple of them while he was being shot in the back there. So a little bit of a miracle on his side. But we are going back to a site now that Outlast looked rather strong on when they were here previously, and it's not a site you normally expect strongness from. It is, of course, that tertiary site of the meeting room. And so the pressure is now on Project Madness to make it work for them, and they're going for a very similar style of attack here, although this time they brought some extra redundancy on the hard breacher after they got picked last time. They went from 1 to 3, so a little bit overkill in that department, but it's going to help them in case of emergencies like Nightmare finding incredible picks across the map.
Yeah, if this doesn't tell you that they're going for a back tower push, I don't think anything really will. You've got all the hard breach you need to open that wall and even put pressure into Attic as well. I think what I'd like for Project Madness is for them to not only come in on this top floor from the big tower side, but maybe also send a player in through Master as well, because there's just, you need more pressure. Maybe this would be a spot where the Nook would fit in. I've seen defenses where you have her just sneak in up through the white stairs, and then all of a sudden, all these defenders, they're focused on Attic. They're not looking anywhere else. They're not looking behind themselves. They're not looking at the window or the door or trophy or something like that. And that's just a perfect area for the Nook. There's many different ways that you could come up with something unconventional, and the Nook can facilitate it there. Project Madness not really opting for any master control or push so far, but they do have one player sitting in Garage. That's the Ace, just minding his own business and waiting to see if anybody emerges from the split doors.
A little bit of early utility contestion coming out here as well. Causes Angel to try and swing out the green hole, but he is called on that play by Butcher, who gets the entry kill here for Project Madness, but not too long unanswered as Tomato grabs one before Juicy grabs a second as well. Swing grabs one as well. Everything kind of exploding at the 1 minute mark in the round here, causing Nightmare to drop as well. We have so much time left on the round, and it feels like we're in the end game here as Nightmare grabs another one for himself. It's now a 2v3. The minute 40 still on the clock. These Osa shields finding that value to contest this regular shield here that Tomato's playing up on Attic. And Swing, I believe he was out in main lobby trying to open that cheater wall directly into the site here. Nightmare as well getting aggressive here on the stairs is called on it by Juicy, so now Tomato's left in a 1v3 situation with half the round still on the clock. He's got to make this work. He's got to find these 1v1s, and the plant is going down on stage, position known by the drone, and he gets sprayed through the wall. Swing grabs another one for himself there, and what a very, very explosive round from Project Madness to claim the lead, I believe. Yeah, they're up 4-2 right now on the side switch.
Yeah, it was a little shaky in the first few rounds, but Project Madness figured out what they needed offensively and struck deep into the heart of the rotation for Outlast. Upon returning to that tertiary objective, not so lucky as the first time. Outlast just got blasted. The defense couldn't do anything on the top floor, and that, maybe you could say that Angel was kind of the reason why things began to fall down, because he did make a bit of an overswing. He was really worried about what was happening with that Surrey torch on the wall, and he almost had his moment. I think if he maybe swung a little bit more aggressively, tried to take the fight with the Maverick that was on the rear stage wall, there could have been something there, but ultimately, no. He was killed by the player that was on the top of the T2 stairs, and there just wasn't anything left for him to try to fight for. And Project Madness in really good shape to take this one. Overtime not looking super likely now, as 4 attack rounds put Project Madness in good stead.
Yeah, you mentioned how you wanted to see something like a knock on that meeting attack, right, to get that extra weird angle of pressure. They might not have picked it, but Swing was definitely playing, ace, I believe, of all operators, kind of like that knock, just hiding out in some weird pockets. And speaking of weird pockets, the setup here for Project Madness on this basement, it almost looked like they were trying to full extend out for a room at the start, but they've got, I believe, just 2 players upstairs with the rest back onto the site here, and they put resources into this room, so a lot of this round is going to come down to what value these roamers can get based on the utility they've been given.
Doesn't definitely emulate perfectly what we had earlier. Did you get Mystrierik? I think they did. I'm pretty sure they saw him, but I'm not confident. I saw the drone jump back. I think it did. Yep, did spot the Jaeger out now, but there's nobody that's really nearby enough to collect on that kill, and so it'll be Swing to actually adjust, move deeper into Attic. He's looking for the angle. The recoil gets a bit jumpy there, not able to nab Spudsack, so he'll further rotate even deeper, leading Outlast Academy on a bit of a wild goose chase. He's headed up to T3. Ain't nobody coming over there to look for him. Outlast Academy say, enough of this, let's hit for the execute.
I know they changed their name to Project Madness, but I didn't realize it had infiltrated their decision-making as well. What a mad decision. They're climbing the ladder in the middle of the round, going up to T3. It's definitely going to put a wrench in the side of Outlast plans, as now that player being up there means that any push towards tower can be thwarted from a little bit of a Spider-Man plays from above, if you will. These Outlast players working their way towards this main cruiser side, though, so trying to best to avoid Swing as Swing starts making his way down from that tower space, working their way up these staircases. Now they've got 1:15 left on the clock to make this work, but Swing finds another one from that attic position. The tower play ends up working out for him. The Outlast players not expecting him to be over there. With 1 minute on the clock, they're working down. Angel gets into an initial engagement, but isn't able to find anything on it, as Swing is now contesting behind the players going down cruiser stairs.
Not looking so great for Outlast Academy. Still a bit awkward in their positioning. 1 down, bottom freeze. The Finka steps up and she runs right into Swing. 2 versus 4 here. Tachanka, look at how much ammo he's got left in the Shumikas. Combo that with 3, count them, 3 toxic babes. So much utility, and there's only 30 seconds. I mean, realistically, how are you going to get past this here? It's not possible, given the circumstances. And Tomato and Angel will sit here and freeze, see if maybe a defender's going to pop out, give him an option here. You saw the Tachanka step forward. He's just going to spray on by. Butcher nabs Tomato. Angel will get 1 for his trouble, but the Tachanka behind the shield is what stops the attack. Project Madness 5-2 on a monstrous 4-round streak.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up the time versus that Tachanka and Smoke. Tachanka and Smoke, 2 operators, of course, known for that space denial ever since Tachanka's rework, and they're really good as operators at being able to turn Rainbow Six Siege into Valorant. So many colors everywhere, a lot of circles that you can't step in without the fear of just having your health bar tick away there. It was a very strong defense there at the end of the day for Project Madness, and a very good read on the room there as well. We saw Swing. He might not be playing the knock, but he's still playing knock. The knock. It's still in his DNA. He cannot stop trying to find these pockets and sneaking through there. And we get to see their second defensive round now, going all the way upstairs. And I love to see the stylistic differences between the 2 teams. Just take a look at the operators. We see an Alibi and a Castle, 2 operators that Outlast weren't really touching at all, make their debut here for Project Madness. So some good stylistic differences coming out from the teams.
Right, and I guess to me, it kind of prompts a bit of a question for Outlast Academy. You know, what is going wrong here? What do you need to correct? Is it, you know, something to do with They're pacing, because in that last round, I really liked that call that they made when they decided to just ignore Swing, who was over, or maybe even it was Juicy, in the top of that T3 area. Just don't deal with him. Just let him do whatever he wants to. And even despite that, somehow he still got a kill. It kind of bewilders me.
Yeah, it's some good heads-up play there to know, hey, they're not coming towards me. Maybe I can go help out the team by pushing them on the other side of the map as well. And we saw him flanking that freezer push, which is not something I've ever seen on a map like Oregon. We're off to a hot start this round, though, as Spudsack is able to grab the first pick onto that Nook player on the defense here. Swing falls early down, so it's definitely a better look here for Outlast Academy, giving themselves a better chance in the round. But these Project Madness players just do not want to let up aggression. Xer knows he's trapped on the staircase, and Butcher is able to find one, I believe, towards that Master Balk as well. These players just want to take gunfights, and they're so good at winning them, but that nade from Tomatoes saves Spudsack from certain doom as he gets picked up by the Finka charge.
Oh, such a tight angle there. Tomato trying to fight it through from the satellite window, and Juicy on a tiny sliver, just looking right through the pixel angle. But the Finka really knows what's going on here, not trying to get too antsy about it. A really extended hold that started to get boiled down by Outlast, but the smoke still standing tall inside that walk-in closet. They'll need a nade or something else to get him out of here. I don't think there's likely to be an ADS covering this, so Spudsack knew there was a player here. This probably would have been a done deal in terms of getting that kill, but it's brought Outlast Academy to a bit of a standstill. Suddenly, there's the smoke. As soon as Spud rotates off the balcony, Soapy realizes it, and now he's going to step into the fray. Has it down onto Hidoy, but it will be nothing more. Somehow, Soapy makes it into walk-in closet, but confirmed by the Finka. Somehow, Butcher runs right into Trophy, gets a double kill, and things are just running buck wild for Project Madness. Outlast Academy not able to lock anything down. They got a player downstairs? What's he doing there?
I have never seen a game where two teams' names describe how the match is played. Project Madness is bringing the insanity, and Outlast is just trying to outlast their aggression, man. Just seeing these players swing off of each other back and forth is something beautiful to see, because you can tell they're communicating about it. It's not just unthought aggression here, and but there's only 30 seconds left on the clock. Oh, the Outlast Academy players are going to have to coordinate this push and time it well to make these players work. They've got one person all the way up white, one in trophy window, or trophy door, excuse me, and when Butcher is hitting shots like that, it's just left down to Nightmare, and he doesn't care. That's an ace for Butcher. A very brutal round for him to be slapping down on the board. I believe now that's match point as well for Project Madness, and they've got a lot of ground to cover here on this map. They can go pretty much anywhere that they want before they are even at threat of seeing an overtime.
Well, it seems like the hype surrounding Outlast Academy, their demolishing of Paradox Black in the first week, has started to fade away a little bit against that energy we know the returning champions, Project Madness. It's Oregon. We've seen this before. We know what this is, and Project Madness are in absolutely full control of it. Their attacks were decisive, and now as we get onto the defense, sure, it was one player getting every single kill that round, but you could tell it was the structure of the strat that helped him achieve that. It was the smoke, now stepping into Master. It was the castle bottom main. It's honestly kind of an interesting strat there. I saw the castle barricade on the main door, and I was like, what? Why would you have that there? But you figure out why. It's to help the castle, to delay, to require somebody else to rotate, and it just worked. It slowed Outlast down, and it cost them valuable manpower.
Yeah, I like to call them Womp Rat ranked strats, those things that you expect to see only once, because if you ran into that again, right, oh yeah, we'll just bring the sledge main door, we know there's a guy on the staircase, we can use utility, but it's not designed to be seen more than once when Project Madness is playing like this. It worked, it got the round win, and now they're sitting on match point and going to one of the least popular sites on the map, and that just means Project Madness has something in the bag that they've been waiting to show off on this, and you can kind of see that in the operators as well. Castle is not an operator that has seen almost any pick rate on the site when it's already a low pick rate site. So it's a double low % chance to see a castle on the site here, and we get to see it here. Nightmare grabs the opening kill for the side of Outlast Academy though, so it opens up well for them to give them a good leverage going into this tertiary site.
I think you definitely needed that for Nightmare, who has been kind of put in a couple of different challenging positions where he's not had many opportunities to show his skill. And now you've got the Selmas coming open. Is this player just going to decide to sit in kids' dorms? It looks like they sure will, and I think that allows Nightmare to collect. You see the blood spatter on the back of the hatch. That was Butcher's attempt to drop down the hatch, but he waited too long. The Selma opened up, and his opportunity slipped right away as Soapy tries to look for the head of the sledge. Tiny angle, juicy for 2, but he gets rifled back. It's Angel putting in the work. Man advantage still, though, for Outlast Academy in a round that they direly need.
Angel was genuinely Outlast Angel there. If Juicy was able to do what he's been doing for the majority of this game, that probably would have just ended for the Outlast Academy upstairs. But they are able to shut him down on it and leave a Outlast in this 3v2 situation. And now we get to see these castle barricades have the effect that they want. These players from Outlast have to contend with them as they start working their way down the staircase, and it really narrows the ability that they have to rotate between pushes here. They're kind of locked in to just trying to work up this server hallway, and Xer managing to make all of this utility be thrown at a spot that he's already gone from is a very good heads-up play by him to just get utility from a spot he's not even in anymore.
This is big. Nightmare on the drop through. The smoke was looking the wrong way, and just a simple cleanup for the attackers as they step on forward, and Outlast Academy get around that they really needed. Now it starts to maybe alleviate the pressure a little bit, but there's still a long road. 3 match points, 3 opportunities for Project Madness to close out this game. You got the tertiary objective out of the way. So now you go down to the basement, and you look at the last time it was played, it was kind of all over the place. But I think for the sake of Project Madness, it's reasonable to assume they're going to be able to close this out. Because Outlast Academy, their offensive coordination just not been there today.
That's a good way to put it. The coordination on defense looked solid for the most part. They did come out of that half, of course, being down 2-4, but it still looked like they had a good say in things. Whereas on defense, the only round that they've gotten going for them was a tertiary site, and even then, there was a very, very scary portion for them when Juicy managed to get behind them, as he did, I believe, on the first time they were. No, never mind. Excuse me. That was Swing the first time we were down here, and it's going to be cool to see how Project Madness needs to make this site work, because Outlast now knows their game, right? They understand that there's going to be players roaming around, and that these players are going to be roaming for longer than they might think they will, right? We saw Swing sneak down behind them freezer stairs as they were trying to gear up for and execute, and now they're aware of that game, so the ball is in their court. How do they adapt and overcome that change?
I think probably after that last round was probably where you should have taken the tactical timeout to get things in order. The defense, even though it was 2-4, as you said, I think there was plenty of moments where I felt like Outlast Academy looked good. You know, the results were translating from scrims, but Project Madness have had some great individual triumphs, and they're playing, you know, individually pretty well across the board. You don't have anyone that's really lagging behind. It was a comment that we had for the St. Louis Leviathans in our earlier match during the interview with Roe. He said, you know, some players, they didn't play excellently. Roe himself, he went 16-6. But this game, Project Madness are in control, and it feels like everybody is really doing their job. You don't have somebody that's lagging behind too much.
Everyone's participating and contributing. Even Xer and Soapy, who are on the lower end of the scoreboard for Project Madness. Look at the operators they're playing. It's Tachanka and Smoke. It's the entry denial duo, and they've done their job, as we saw in the previous basement attack, of just being able to make every second wasted upstairs feel like an eternity for Outlast, and it really makes the clock kind of a myth, right? They've got about 40 seconds left before this utility from the side of Xer and Soapy is going to just deny them entry into the site even further, and when they didn't roam clear properly, Butcher's able to sneak past everything and find his way into pit relatively unnoticed here.
He is just out in the fray of things right now. Outlast Academy don't have really any way to lock it down. Not a great spot in the drone economy either, only 4 remaining. So the likelihood that you're going to have something that's watching this flank is going to be pretty minimal. But in terms of that player's position, it's a little separated from the actual events of the take. Angel could be the victim. Starts to step forward. Butcher waiting at the bottom of that staircase as Angel comes on forward. will swap to Swing, who's looking to make sure nothing happens at these rear stairs, but the Iana will jump for the Gemini. Try to get the drone, try to get the intel. Swing steps forward. He's got one opponent directly behind him. Hidoy and Tomato combined. There's another one out of the LMG. The Finka doing God's work, and Butcher just trying to fight his way back. One down on the site, 35 to go. Careful for Outlast Academy that this one doesn't go by the wayside, simply because there's not enough time remaining, and that might be what's on the cards here. Butcher and X or Angel able to finally drop it to just one. This Butcher will need the confirmation here. Not a lot of ammo, not a lot of a chance. Outlast Academy still have some energy left to fight.
Yeah, it's good to see that reprisal, that brief moment of respite for them to understand what was going on and be able to burst onto a site like that, and especially with how bad the clock worked against them there, right? They had the Tachanka and the smoke still left on the board as they were gearing up to work their way down the staircases, but they were able to brute force their way past those, not even using utility there, just being able to find picks from people over swinging, as Swing did, on those tower stairs, and just being able to call out Project Madness on some of these more ridiculous plays that they've been getting away with. So being able to call them out on plays that they're losing to is definitely a good sign going forward for Outlast to make this game even closer than it's already been, as the scoreboard, it's starting to creep away from Project Madness here. At one point they were up 6-2, I believe, and it's now 6-4, and it's looking more and more doable for Outlast every time that we end a round.
We mentioned this last time, the cardinal sin of repeating the objective, and that's just what Project Madness had in mind. This time, no timeout like in our earlier game. They're just gonna kind of go in dry and see how it'll work. And the thing that I always used to say about repeating the objective is, you know, I don't like running it back just to change the way that you played it. I like when the strat changes, right? You know, you go from a turtle to an anchor. You go from playing extended to, you know, maybe only a really kind of a lurk-based roam. I don't like it when you play the same strat and you try to just see if, okay, you know, I lost this gunfight. Let me try that. Let me try see if I win this gunfight this time, right? It's not an ideology that really checks out.
Yeah, the ideology from Project Madness as well, not really changing here. You can see Juicy, Butcher, and Swing being as aggressive as they always have been. They're almost their signature at this point for Oregon. They take these playing the staircases kind of style of the game very seriously, sometimes playing it from above when the site's below. So it's good to see them being able to change that up, and it's got Outlast paranoid enough that they've got drones in T2 on a basement attack here, just because they know these players will go upstairs if given the opportunity here. With a minute down, Butcher's able to find the opening kill for the side of Project Madness, which only makes things go from bad to worse, as he's able to live from that as well, not being able to be traded out as he grabs another drone for his trouble as well. These players from Outlast Academy just not able to isolate Butcher. He's just on a heater today.
Solid positioning from Tomato, just waiting, seeing if he might be able to spot him. The Aruni in a really rough spot in Nightmare there, making sure that's one kill that does not spiral out of control. Could you say maybe the time is not really worth it? There's somebody over in the main lobby area. That definitely will be a bit of an awkward spot. There we go. Swings down the carrier, and he's going to run right up the stairs. This is going to be just another road bump in what has been such a tumultuous ride for Outlast Academy here on the offense. They're going to drop drones. They're going to stop and try to figure it out again. And it's just, you need to hurry up here, because something is going to go wrong if you try to recover this the slow way.
Recovering it the slow way too feels like it's the right way to do it in this case, because you know Swing, you know how he plays this game. He's probably somewhere waiting to claim your life as you try and execute here, and he is doing that. He's ratting out an armory. He's waiting for these players from Outlast to commit to working down these main stairs. When you forget about him is when he strikes, and it makes Nightmare's position here at the bottom of main stairs all the more dangerous, because at any point in time, Swing could start shooting down the staircase and threaten him from behind there. So it's good on Swing to be patient as well. He understands that the timing of his role is more important than the actual position that he's put in, as we start gearing up here for Outlast to try and break into the site. But Swing's timing strikes true as he fells out Nightmare, excuse me. But Dwayne finds one back though onto Soapy, so it's not all lost for the side of Outlast, but the health bar is not looking too great, but clock working even worse, as Tachanka is still left alive, loses the majority of his health to a couple of volley of bullets there, excuse me. Tomato finds two, Juicy finds one, and we're in a 1v1 here to decide if we get another round or the game will just end. And there's only 10 seconds left on the clock, so Tomato realistically has to find this kill, and Juicy is being very elusive here, hiding out in this elbow space. Tomato's going to be forced to stick this plant, and all Juicy has to do is come and find him, and that he will. Project Madness defeat Outlast Academy. I would consider this an upset considering how both of these two teams played in the previous week, but Project Madness welcoming back to the previous form there. You're looking good heading forward, and it just makes these group stages even more exciting, man.
Definitely, and I think, I don't know if I would necessarily call it an upset. Outlast Academy, a victory in the first week, but versus an opponent who's not necessarily at the top of the conference, so you do have to kind of take it with a grain of sand. But for their opponents here, Project Madness, who were, lost in the first week, who maybe were not feeling so good about themselves, this is a big win. This helps them get back on track, figure out what's going to happen, and maybe a game that I thought was going to be a little bit more competitive. Outlast Academy having some trouble, real trouble on the attack, and it was the coordination and just the planning, I think, from their attacks that were causing the most issues. To have a Zofia in construction, somebody else in freeze, or somebody else main, it's like a triangle, right? Like, that doesn't really make much sense. You need to be together with your teammate and working to build a crossfire, because pushing in solo like that is not going to work. The Finka, she did a great job. She got a double kill. She made that look so possible in a situation that was terrible. The Zofia was the win condition, and she just couldn't live up to it.
Yeah, it's like the only part of Oregon that's very hard conceptually is, well, everyone's heard of a freezer main take, everyone's heard of a tower bunker take, no one's heard of a bunker tower freezer main take, and there's a good reason that you haven't heard of that style of take, right? If you have your resources spread out all over the place, you can't actually get in the building and take the space you need to make a plant work on them. It's very well played, though, to Project Madness to find the space and find the pockets of information that were just missing from Outlast. I believe it was swinging juicy just the entire game. We're picking those nooks, we're picking just Jaeger and finding positions that they could be in and live outside of the intel zone that Outlast Academy had established there. So it was very well played to them to put up that impressive a performance, and I think more importantly show that, yeah, they still got what it takes. They're still the season 1 and 2 champions for a reason, and they might have had a bad first week, but they're still here to play, and they'll put up scores if you let them.
And with that being said, it wraps up our games for tonight. Congratulations to the Leviathans and Project Madness for their victories. We will see you tomorrow, but that's been all. I've been Stickula, joined here by Ricky. We'll see you next time.
Don't give up on me, yeah. Don't give up on me, yeah.